All right. So we planned to do 2 lists last time, but that worked out just fabulous. And that was supposed to be best and worst of the 2010s, and then so far the best and worst of this current decade, the 2020s. But as we discussed, we went a little bit overboard with last time.
Oops. Just kidding.
Oh well. Yeah, so then it got to the point where we're just like, oh, we kind of hit our marks, so we got to quickly talk about the movie we want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So, we're going to start off with the worst of the current decade. I have 6 movies for 2020, 4 for 21, 3 for both 22 and 23, and 1 for 24.
Oh. I try to keep it to 2, because I'll be honest with you, when I looked at 2022, I was like, there's no fucking movie I like in here.
Well,
but I have at least 2 for good and 2 for bad.
Yeah.
At least.
It was a bit difficult. Like this current year, it may not surprise you. Last year was easier. But when it got to like 2021 and 2022, there were some in there where I was like, okay, well, that wasn't great, but I did remember being kind of disappointed, so I put it here. And then 2020, I actually had to look back at certain things and go, oh yeah, I forgot about this. And it was kind of the same thing with, I would say the hardest year to do was 2020. Because there was some movies in there where I was like, oh yeah, that's right, that came out that year, and I did like that, or I hated. So I would say that was the hardest one to pick from.
It also seemed that whenever I was looking at the list, it was like horror movie century for 2020. So I was just like, okay, half these movies I can't really say anything for because they're all a horror, thriller, or somewhere in between.
And then I'll have a certain opinion on them.
Of course. And then I was like, who am I going to go against? I'll just let him say all the horror stuff. I'll just say right here.
Well, yeah, I do have some horror stuff in here for both the best and worst of the decade. So yeah, I'll get to those when we get to them. But did you want to start out with one for worst of 2020?
Oh, worst of. Okay. Yes, let's go ahead and
Yeah. And some of these were even last minute. Like I actually came up with one like an hour before we started, and I'll get to which one that is, but there's probably going to be some in here where you're going to be like, "Oh, how did I forget that?" or "I've never even heard of that." Like there's one in 2020 that I have that you're probably going to be like, "I've never even heard of that."
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So, all right.
I have 2. Both of them are fairly controversial, and they're only on here because I disagree with the way it went and how they decided to produce and direct it.
All right.
Robert Downey Jr.'s Doolittle.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
All right.
I quite did not like.
Oh, just hold on.
Oh boy.
We'll wait. Because yeah, we're probably gonna have some overlaps here, like right now.
Oh boy.
So
okay.
What was the second one?
The second one is Mulan, the Disney Mulan live action.
I didn't see that. You know, I just personally I don't really care about the Disney live action stuff, but the thing that kind of turned me off on that one was Disney made the business decision because that was, 2020 was just a weird 2020 and 2021, that was a weird year for films, mainly because that's when like the peak of COVID hit. Not saying that it's, peak is still now, but that's like when COVID like just hit and was, just everything was just, odd. But so then studios were trying to find a way to, make money at home, and Disney made the decision for Mulan to basically be $30 on Disney Plus. So basically you had to pay for something that you're already paying for.
which I found stupid. Not only did the movie was actually really interestingly great, I found that them using Chinese actors and like having like very historical background on everything, you know, like not necessarily accurate because Mulan is technically still considered like a fable, it's a fake story based off a warrior, right? The only thing that threw me off was like every other fucking movie they ever make about a live action is how they don't like to use their own soundtrack. Movies that they know people are coming for just for soundtrack.
Yeah, I know.
So it's kind of like the opposite with Aladdin too.
Yeah, I took one look at Aladdin and I was like, nope, I'm good. And then I walked out of my room one day and I saw like some family members of mine watching it. And I was kind of watching it for a little bit. I was like, okay, this kind of looks interesting. And then there was one part in there where I was just like, nope, I'm done. I'm like, nope, I'm out. But the thing about Mulan is I heard some guy talk about it and they said like this movie needed that goddamn Eddie Murphy dragon. Because man, it needed it. I was like, oh, really? Like, okay. Yeah, I didn't see that. But
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the other one you brought up. Oh boy. Yeah. So, well, still, glad you put that one in there because.
Oh, Doolittle.
Yeah, because on my list I have Doolittle because that movie just Iron Man had to die for that movie to get made. And I was like, no
way.
No. Well, that's what happened. Is like, no, is Avengers Endgame happened, and then immediately after it, Downey Jr. went on to do Doolittle, which I heard he said he was trying to get done for a while, but couldn't because of the MCU. So then in Endgame they killed him off, and it was like, all right, now I can do this movie. And I was like, oh my God. Like, what have you done? Like, oh God. From all the, you have all this like very talented voice actors just saying the most random shit. And it's supposed to take place in the Victorian era, which is where the book takes place. So I'm glad they went back to the origin. But you have all these like different animals saying like bro and like all that stuff. And I'm just like, shut up, please. And there's still some like cleverness that can be done with, talking animal movies, but it's just these ones that just take the lamest humor or like humor that's just so easy and just slaps it on it. And it's like, oh my God, just stop this, please. And yeah. And of course the movie, the climax is, oh my God, we got a big dragon. How are we going to defeat it? Oh, the dragon has an upset stomach. Oh, we got to basically make the dragon fart in a long, long fart. Oh my God. Like I remember, I think it just came out like available to rent or something like that. And I was going to watch it. And then I asked my little brother if he wanted to watch it. And he said, sure. And both of us watched it, and he immediately just looked at me and just went like, I said yes to this. Like, oh my God. I'm like, well, there goes our relationship.
It's so bad. It really was.
Yeah, so yeah. that's what I said. Like when you put it down, it's just like, yeah, we'll get into that later. Okay, another movie. This one may not surprise you. I mean, I know last time we talked about that movie, Truth or Dare. And me telling you how shitty it is. Well, I have their next movie, Fantasy Island. Oh my God. Just there is something I hate in film. Well, not just film, but in Hollywood, where they take a property. In fact, the next movie I have is another property that they just basically completely screwed up. And they take a property and they change it up. And this one, they said, okay, you know what? We're going to take a show from back in the 70s and 80s that really wasn't horrific. It was more of like, like, it was supposed to be like more like a romantic, dramatic type show. And we're going to make a horror spin on it. Okay. Like, I have no issue with that. But they just do lazy. And it's lazy. And, characters you hate. There's a third act that just makes no sense. And, with this one, yeah, all their fantasies come to life, but the island has like a curse underneath it. It doesn't, but I don't want to spoil it, but it's so dumb. And oh my God, I mean, geez, I know a lot of people that said that they hated this one more than Truth or Dare, and I'm like, I don't know, they're on the same level. To me personally, they're on the same level, and this kind of makes me nervous. Have you heard anything about that new movie that's coming out called Imaginary?
Oh, you know what? I have.
It's the same people.
No,
as both of these. So, and I'm going like this. I always give like directors 3 chances, like 3 strikes. Truth or Dare and Fantasy Island, that's strike 1 and 2. I'll give him one more movie because I know that he did one for Netflix with like Marlon Wayans, and I'm just like, this just looks terrible on purpose. I'm not wasting my time with this. But, Imaginary looks interesting and like, okay, maybe. And what, that might be the 3rd strike, and I'm like, all right, I'm done with this guy. But who knows?
I mean, you never know. It could be it could be one movie and it's like career restored. You never know.
Oh, we'll see. The next one, a movie where they just said screw it. Artemis Fowl, Disney's Artemis Fowl.
Never heard of that movie.
Oh, this is not the neutron bomb that I have. This was Disney taking the property of Artemis Fowl. Like, okay, I heard about this movie. I heard about it like when it was coming out, and I knew nothing of what it was. They were saying it was based on a best-selling book series, and I'm like, I've never even heard of this book series. Think of Artemis Fowl is pretty much like a 10-year-old Lex Luthor. Like, think of it kind of like that. Disney said, oh, fuck that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to make him into the villain that he is. No, he's actually just a troubled little brat that, is good on the inside. And you know what? We're going to completely ignore all the shit that made the book series great and basically try to make our own, like, another, like, almost like fucking Harry Potter film. It was just not good at all. And some of the people they bring in there was just like, what the hell are you doing? Like, this makes no sense. And it was supposed to come out in the theaters, and then throughout the year they just went, oh, we're just going to drop it on Disney Plus, which is code for lower your expectation. Like, I typically think, like, if they're going to stream a movie like that directly goes to streaming, one thing I've learned this past decade is if a movie goes straight to streaming, chances are it's not going to be good. But there's a couple on here that I do have in my best of that did go to streaming, specifically on Hulu, that were really good. But we'll get to that later. But yeah, Artemis Fowl, that was just a waste of time. The next movie is the Grudge remake.
Remakes are amazing because they just fill up your list, but regardless of how.
The thing that made everybody interested in this new Grudge film was that it was supposed to be darker. It was supposed to be rated R. It was supposed to be bloody and gory and all this stuff. And it is those things. It is definitely a gore film. So, like, if you are a gore hound, you would like that movie. But it's everything else. The characters, the storytelling. It's just hollow. It makes no sense. They keep constantly flipping between characters. So it's like it feels like an anthology film, but there's no cutoff. So at the end, you're just like, what happened? So you're just all confused, and yeah, it's just it's one of those movies where I don't want to harp on it too much because it just makes me sad that
Right.
because it was just like you had this potential and you kind of just fumbled the ball with it. This next movie, this was kind of another last minute thing because I kind of forgot about this and didn't think it was this decade, but it was. I was thinking, there really hasn't been a lot of superhero movies that I've seen in this past decade. And I was thinking there has to be one in there that I didn't really like. And then I had to think about it, and I went, oh yeah, forgot about this one.
Oh no.
Sorry. If you like this one, sorry. Wonder Woman 1984.
Okay, what's wrong with this movie? What is wrong with it, other than it being kind of stupid?
Oh my God. So, okay. Here's my issues with it. When you're making a movie or a TV show, one of the biggest issues with doing a story that involves wishes or time travel is there's multiple errors for plot holes.
Fair enough.
And where you can go, oh, why didn't you just do this? Why didn't you just time travel to this time? So it's really hard to it's really easy to create plot holes, and this movie had a shit ton of those. And also some of the decisions they made in it just were like, what the hell? Like how they brought Steve Trevor back. It would have made more sense if, they just brought him back. Like, poof, he was just back. But no. He comes back, like, I guess, possessing the body of some guy that looks like him. And I was like, wait, what? Like, what are you doing? And then, I didn't mind the whole, like, cheetah thing until the last battle, when it just looks like shit. I mean, I heard people comparing, like, her full-on, like, cheetah transformation as being compared to something from Cats. And I'm like, they're not wrong. And you know what? I don't want to harp on the movie too much, but, there's so many things about it that I want to say is bad, but until I get to that, like, I feel like I'm already, like, kicking a dead horse here.
You are pretty much doing that, yeah.
Whatever. I did not like that one.
I disagree with you, but again, when did we ever agree to disagree?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not like that one. So, for the sake of, us, we should probably move on. But Here is my last movie of 2022 that I have in my worst of. Here is the one where you probably have never heard of, besides of Artemis Fowl, because it came out and was immediately forgotten. The Turning. Yeah. So,
never heard of it.
This movie has a pretty good cast. And is based on a book, and apparently was in production for a long time. And it's actually, it was supposed to be helped done by Spielberg, who this was kind of when he wanted to get back and he wanted to try like a crack at like horror, which, I would still want to watch one day if he does like a horror movie. But this one, it had a good beginning and just fumbled it. It just kept fumbling it. And then
That's
the
not fun.
end, especially it just made no sense. It was edited very poorly, so you couldn't understand what the hell was going on. And then by the time you get to the end, it felt like there was 3 or 4 endings to it, and they spliced 2 together to make one, and it makes no damn sense. To then when it like cuts to black, and you're just like, okay, what just happened? The credits are rolling. It's like, what the hell was that? It felt like a slap in the face at times. So yeah, this movie came out in like January or like February or something like that, and it just got kicked to the curb, and it was immediately pretty much forgotten. And it was actually one where I was looking at lists and stuff, and I went, oh yeah, that's right, I saw that, and I hated it. Like, okay, forgot about that. So yeah.
Okay.
So that's my 2022. So
Wow, we already
2021.
skipped to 2020. I haven't even done 2021. I guess I just slapped them together, huh?
Don't worry, I got it.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's go with 2021 then, since I'm already here. Realistically, I had a really hard time finding one that was really bad. That's also because I didn't see many of these movies.
Don't worry, I'll fix that.
Fair enough. Fair. Okay. So what I do have on here is the Black Widow movie
Okay.
from Disney.
From Marvel.
And actually, they're both Disney movies. Then I have Eternals in
All
that
right.
same year,
Okay.
which I also didn't really love.
Yeah. So yeah, for mine, I don't have Black Widow, but I do have Eternals, because as much as I think Black Widow had so much more potential than it could have been, and then personally the Taskmaster thing kind of was just what the hell was that last minute? I personally thought Eternals was more boring. So I don't have Black Widow on mine, but I do have Eternals on mine, because it was, to me, Eternals was more boring. And it was also very predictable. Like, I was going, oh, I know exactly what happened with this, like 2 hours before it happened. And I was like, yeah, I could tell like what was happening. And then some of the characters you want, you barely get any of them. Like one character that I did kind of want to see more of in there was Kumail Nanjiani, but he's barely in the fucking movie. Like,
he really is barely in that movie. I really don't understand.
Yeah, like, to be honest, he's barely in the movie. Salma Hayek is barely in the movie. God, what was his name? Game of Thrones. Kit.
Shit. Fuck.
Yeah, I forget his name. Hedgerton? No.
No.
Something like that. But yeah, he's barely in the movie. And I'm just like, I want to see more of these characters, not the characters we got. And it's like, I don't really care about them. And then, well, whatever. But yeah, I have Eternals. Another, I don't even call this one a superhero movie, because this much like Artemis Fowl, they took a character and just completely fucked it up. I know there's some people that like this movie, but me personally, I did not. Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Oh, okay. Listen, we can disagree. We can agree, but I will disagree.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. This one was saying, hey, let's take, Venom, if you really think about it, Venom, as Venom, barely in the fucking movie. He's barely in it, because he basically gets into a big fight with Eddie and then starts jumping. And it's just like, really? Like, okay, so this doesn't even seem like an actual Venom movie. It's like from the diary of Venom. And there were so many things about it where I'm like, really? Like, this could have been a lot better. And then a couple months ago, I saw this on Twitter. Somebody posted God, I forget what they're called in pre-production before they start doing like effect stuff, storyboarding. Somebody did like a storyboard of the scene where Carnage escapes from the jail, and it is fucking brutal. Like, literally, like, there's like blood going everywhere. There's part where Carnage like has like, I guess, one of his tentacles like go into a guy's mouth, and then the guy explodes. It was like, why the world? It's like, where was that? Like, that's what we needed. That's what we wanted to see, because the character of Venom is supposed to be like ruthless. That's the way the character was in like the comics, and then especially like I would say Insomniac's Spider-Man 2, that's a way better interpretation of the character Venom, just because it's just like we don't give a shit and just go brutal. And there were times when that game got brutal, and it was mainly because of Venom. So, to see something like this was just, I'm sorry, but I was just like, this is just a waste. But
it really is, yeah.
After you said, come on. All right. Next one. Moving on. Moving on. This one I didn't really want to put in my worst of, because there were certain aspects that I did like, but at the end of the day, there were more negative than positive. You probably don't know what this one is. Dashcam.
Nope. Not at all.
This one is from a director that I have in my best of the decade. I'll get to that. But did you see the movie The Boogeyman that came out last year? Or you heard of that one?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it, but I've heard of it.
It's the same director as that. But this one, it's a found footage one. This one is about a stupid, idiotic person who basically loves, almost like I mean, I hate using this. It's now a phrase now, and I hate it. I hate using this, but pretty much a Karen.
Okay.
And this is our main character. And I'm like, I want you to just go away. So she then, gets kind of like visits an old, like an ex of hers, and then finds out that they're basically doing like almost like a DoorDash or like a Grubhub kind of thing. So then steals his phone, and then gets a call to go and pick up an order. But then when she goes there to pick up the order, the woman there says like, hey, I need you to take my mother to the hospital. Or no, it was, I need you to watch my mother while I do a certain thing. And then the mother, something's wrong with her, and then kind of starts derailing from there. So it seems like a tired premise, but there was a lot of cleverness in the movie. But the main problem that I had was the main character was so bad. And like, this is our main character, and I want them to go. And I'm just gonna say it. There's some of the other characters in the movie, I liked them way better. And either we don't see them again, or something bad happens to them. Not the main character. And I'm like, this movie has the audacity to let you live? No. Screw you. Which, yeah, it sucks. It was just like, if this character was way better and not the way you had it, this personally would be off my worst of. But it's just, the character just annoyed me. Like, every time when I was getting into it, run in the mouth. And I was just like, shut up. But a movie, but to me, the worst movie of 2021 for me, the movie that I wanted to tell all the characters in this movie to shut up. Tom and Jerry, the movie.
No.
Oh, don't say that you like this one.
Oh, I've never seen it, so I can't say anything.
Okay.
But like, I wonder how bad it is for you to be like.
It is. It does the same shit that movies have done in the past decade. We're gonna take a kid property. What do we do with them? We're not going to use the real world. We're not going to use anything the universe that particular universe created. Instead, we're going to throw them in New York City. This does that. So much like the Smurfs, which is another film I do not like, because it does that same thing. It's just like, hey, let's go here. Hey kids, look at this monument. You get to see the Smurfs hang out there. This is the same thing. And
oh boy,
oh my god. And the worst thing about this was I saw this movie in the theater. My little brother and I gave him the choice because it was coming out on HBO Max as well, because this was during the time when Warner Brothers again made the decision like, hey, we're going to release the movie in theaters, but it's also going to be on HBO Max for I think a month. So I asked little brother, like, hey, do you want to watch it at home or do you want to go to the theater? And he said, let's go to the theater. And I was like, okay. We get there, and there's a whole bunch of, like, little kids, like maybe 6-7-year-olds. And every time they laughed, I just went, and I sighed. And I try not to be that guy if I'm watching a bad movie, especially with like a group of people. It doesn't matter who's in it, just a group of people. And if they're kind of having a good time, I try not to go like, be that guy. But this just did it. This did it to me. Okay. Here's how bad this movie is. There is in the movie, there's a couple, and they're about to be married. Okay. The husband is spending money on just stupid things, like husbands do, I guess. But he gets a hoverboard that has Wi-Fi capability to it, and his wife goes, "Why did you get that?" And I swear to God, this is exactly what he said. Why the fi not? I wanted to scream and chuck something at the screen. I will kill myself. I wanted to chuck something at the screen, and then there's all these like 7-8-year-old kids that are just dying laughing, and I'm just like, oh my God. Like, my little brother said, like, we were in the car on the way back, he said, like, I asked him, like, what was your perspective? And he said, like, every time when there was a bad joke and I heard every kid laughing, I look over to you and you just had your hands on your face. And I'm like, yeah, sorry about that. And then he said, like, I heard you sighing. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. And then I get home and other family is there, and they're just like, so how was the movie? And then my little brother goes, I liked it, but Trevor hated it. And then
Trevor hates it.
Yeah, and then they said, well, it's a kid's movie. And I'm just like, no, don't you pull that. Like, I was angry. I was like, don't you dare pull that. Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, you know what, whatever. And I just walked away. Yeah, that movie just pissed me off. I know another movie, but I did not see it that year. Or actually, I still haven't seen it because I'm just like, no, that just looked trash on purpose. That stupid Home Alone reboot that Disney did. That was 2021, okay. But I haven't seen that.
All those reboots are bad. They really are. No.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't see that, but I did see a lot of people put that on their list. I'm like, that looked bad on purpose. And then I heard, like, yeah, it was because Disney had the property because they had bought Fox. So they have a whole bunch of their properties now, and now they're going, hey, let's just do it just to make money. And that's exactly what they did. And that's how I saw it, and that's why I avoided it. But, anyway. All right, 2022. What you got?
Okay, let's go with 2022. Oh, I hate this year so much. But there were some decent movies this year. Okay, there were some. Sonic 2.
I've only seen the first one, and the first one was just okay to me. I was just like, all right, I saw it. I don't have the urge or don't even necessarily want to see this again.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I was like, 2, I don't really care to see. I just don't. And then I know 3's coming out this year.
Super bad, but, yeah.
And people are still trying to figure out because I think somebody said that Sonic 3 is going to have Shadow the Hedgehog, and people are still trying to figure out who it's going to be. And I heard a bunch of people online saying it should be Keanu, and I'm just like, as much as I love Keanu, I'm fine without it. But I don't care about like I said. But I can see 2 being there, being Sonic 2. I can see that. What was the other one?
Black Adam.
Didn't see that.
Black Adam. You didn't? It's actually really bad. It's so bad.
After I heard it was originally going to be rated R, I was just like, oh, so they pulled this crap again. They basically said, just make it more like the the staple that we always have, and not try to do anything different. And I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was okay. It started off fine. It was okay, great plot, great characters. We got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in this. It's great. And then towards the end of the movie, I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? What happened to the plot?
Yeah.
When a movie becomes nonsense, bullshit fighting scenes, that's exactly what it straight into. I'm not even joking. It was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Which I felt bad because I know The Rock really wanted to do a second one, but then shit went down at DC, and then
Yeah, he was basically saying yeah, we just didn't see eye to eye, and no, it's no more. And now they're rebooting it, so the whole franchise, they're rebooting it. So we'll see how that goes.
I know there's some other ones Thor: Love and Thunder was really bad.
I didn't see that. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't see a whole lot of the superhero stuff, Marvel and DC stuff. I really didn't see a whole lot this decade because I just lost interest because they looked like they were all getting lazy. So,
it's because they were.
Yeah.
And it really shows through Thor: Love and Thunder. It really was such a idiotic movie.
Yeah, it kind of looked that way, and I was just like, no, sorry. As much as I really liked Ragnarok, I was like, yeah, this kind of looks like exactly what I feared Ragnarok was going to be. But Ragnarok was just so surprisingly good. And I was like, wow, all right. Then it was just kind of this is what I feared. And yeah. For me, I have 3 movies for 2022. I will start with Firestarter.
Oh, okay. What's your opinion on that one?
So there's a lot of Stephen King movies out there that really need remakes. And the original Firestarter from the 80s, while it's not a great movie, it's not a bad one either. This one was the only things I can say were good was the soundtrack, which was done by John Carpenter, which that just gets extra points for me. And Zac Efron's performance. He was trying.
Okay.
he was trying. Like, he was trying to save the fucking movie. But, you know, a lot of it was on his shoulders. And unfortunately, while he tried his best to pull a lot of it, everything else just dragged him down. It was like he was trying to swim. It was like he was trying to... Okay, it was like he was trying to pull... like a tug-of-war kind of thing with the rope. He was on one side, but everything else was on the other side. And he was pulling his weight a little bit, but then every once in a while that other side just yanked it and he just went further.
Shoot.
That's pretty much this. Yeah, I did not waste my time to go see this in the theater. I saw it on Peacock. And like I said, unless it's Hulu so far, this past decade, if they release it in theaters, but also if it goes to like streaming or just goes specifically to streaming, kind of keep your expectations a little bit lower. And
unfortunately,
we'll come across another movie coming up pretty soon that we've talked about before in the past. We'll get to that. The next movie I have, which is kind of a controversial one because I know a lot of people like this one, and this was the one that I had like literally an hour before we started. Terrifier 2. I don't even particularly like the first one, and because there was no fucking story, and I was just like, if there's no story to hang on to this, there's no point that any of this should be happening. And so when I came into the second one, I was going, okay, you know what? If there's a story and it's, you know, good, you know, I'll even take like, you know, like decent or even like not particularly great, but as long as there's a story and there's reasons behind this stuff happening to characters or these characters doing this kind of stuff, then I'll be okay. Nothing. It was the same shit. And
are you serious?
To me, if you just be there's a particular style of like filmmaking out there called grindhouse style, and to me, that I do not like that because they focus more on the gore and the sex and nudity than they focus on the story.
I see that.
So it's just mindless, like never-ending moments of gore and sex, and don't give a shit about the story nor the characters. And it's like, are you just making a snuff film at this point? Because that's pretty much what I'm watching right now. So I know there's people that do like the Terrifier movies, and I know they're making a third one, and it's coming out in December. But I personally don't understand it. You know, I don't like them. And I tried. But it's just, it's a particular style of filmmaking that I just cannot shake because it's bad to me.
Okay, I'll agree with you on that one.
And then the next one, I don't know if you saw this one, but this one was kind of like, all right, it's an interesting premise, but when you start looking at it through a magnifying glass, it just got worse. Don't Worry, Darling. You remember that one?
Okay, listen.
Oh boy, here we go.
Nope, I can't really do anything other than this. 3 smiles, but no, it really was that bad.
Okay, the first time I've only seen it once, and the only time that I did watch it, I was going like, I mean, it's all right, but the more I started thinking about it, and the more I started kind of like dissecting it a little bit, it was like, oh, this is kind of worse. It was like, uh-oh. But here's what I'll give. I'll give points. The set design was great. I loved how they made it look like, was it the 40s or 50s? Or like something like that. It was great. I love that. Some of the performances, while I wanted to see more of like certain actors, I think they gave like a pretty good performance to it. That being said, you know, as the mystery started like evolving. I was like I was being like, oh, like this, let's see where this goes. Then the third act hits, and then the twist is revealed. I'm like, oh, that's lazy as fuck. Like, that's been done numerous times. I was like, really? And it was something where it was like halfway through the movie, and I'm like, God, I hope the twist isn't this, and it was.
Rip.
Won't say what it is, but it's like, oh my, really? You took the lazy way out? It was like, come on. Oh well. But, while I do think there is some good in that movie, to me, like I said, the more you dissect it and the more you look at it through a magnifying glass, you start looking at little holes. And you're like, oh, these holes are a little bit bigger than I remember. Whoops. But, that's just me. 2023. I'm sure we're going to have at least two movies. One for sure, one maybe. But I know there's going to be one in here that you and I are going to, agree on with a passion.
Oh, God, you're putting so much pressure on me now. Don't do this to me.
Well,
I want to take a guess. But, I mean, this is already on here, so it's not really a guess.
And?
Is the ISS.
No, that's not the one I was thinking of.
Oh. Okay, well then, now I gotta keep guessing. Oh shit, it's Winnie the Pooh. Yep. Oh shit, it's Winnie the Pooh.
So, yeah.
I can really skip my mind right now. I don't know why.
Yeah, because that movie was such a travesty, we just want to get that out of our fucking head. I mean, we did a show on that specifically. So, that's why I just wanted to put it there, and then we'll never go back to that again. We'll just move on.
Fine.
So
yeah, we'll just ignore it ever exists.
Next.
Skip.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I haven't seen the ISS, but I heard it's really bad.
Yeah.
So a lot of these movies I haven't watched yet. I do have 3 on here, though. Mm-hmm. One of them is being Winnie the Pooh, which I will never put myself through that pain and agony ever again.
Yeah, no. We're not doing that bullshit again.
Mm-mm. I only put the ISS here because I heard it was disappointing, and and it was one of the many movies that I was quite excited about.
Yeah.
And then surprisingly, I didn't hate this one, but it was just a really weird movie that I thought, well, what the fuck is it doing here in the first place? And it's the Disney Wish movie.
It's
one.
Yeah, I know. I took one look at that. I was just like, this falls into the same thing, like I said, with Wish or time travel movies. It's like, why couldn't you do it this way? Why didn't you do it this way? But that movie just it tackled a concept where I'm like, this has been done numerous times before, and I'm not saying that Disney animated movies have done that before. They've done it before, but they found a way to make it new again. Where it's like, wow, I'm surprised no one else tackled that kind of thing. That movie just looked kind of lazy.
It really was. Actually, it was to the point where the music, it was like super bad. It was actually no, it is super bad. It is super bad. Mm-hmm. It was like, had they put Disney song through ChatGPT and were like, yeah, that's it, and then had people sing it. I was like, oh no,
man.
People were missing Lin-Manuel real hard right there.
Well, yeah, we'll see if he comes back for Moana 2.
Which I heard that he might not, and they might just hire someone else. But I hope not.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
I know.
So those were your 3. Yeah, you had
my third movie.
Yeah, you had.
No, that was the third movie.
Oh, okay.
They had the ISS, Winnie the Pooh, and
Wish. All right.
Wish.
Yeah, I have 3 of them. One is Winnie the Pooh, which sucks ass through a straw. Next one I have is I didn't hate the movie, but I think it was a I think it was a great fan service movie, but as just a movie in and of itself, it was kind of bad. Sorry, but the FNAF movie.
I don't know if it's on one at all.
As a fan service film, it was fantastic.
Okay.
But, there were times where I was going like, this sucked, this part could have been better, that part could have been way better. But, as, if they fixed like some like the little things here and there, then this would have been off my worst stuff. Where I've been like, okay, it wasn't great, but it wasn't awful.
Okay.
I also have the third one I have is The Exorcist Believer.
Oh.
Which I was so looking forward to that film. And then the first like 5-10 minutes was really interesting, and it got me hooked. And then it was pretty much just like end of prologue, and I'm like, oh, so we don't go back to that, do we? And not really. And they pretty much like try to copy what made the original great, and then they bring back Ellen Burstyn, which was Reagan's mother. They bring her back, and I'm like, oh, that's great. She's barely in the movie. Like, barely in it. She pops up, something happens in like 5 minutes, and then she's pretty much out for the rest of the movie. And I'm like, really? You brought her back just to do that? I was like, wow. So now they're actually... The movie bombed, and it was not good, to the point where they're actually rethinking it. Like, David Gordon Green, who did it, who also did the new Halloween trilogy, he stepped down from directing the next one. They took it off the slot, and they're basically rethinking the whole thing. And I was like, you probably should do that. Because, this just did not work. And it sucked, too, because I really was looking forward to it. And, nope. And another thing that sucked is that there was Ellen Burstyn's character, she has a backstory, like, what happened between the events of the first film and now. And I'm like, you just copied that from the TV show they did. Which, if you haven't seen the Exorcist show, I think Fox did it, highly recommend it. It's really good. Like, really good. I was like, you copied that. I was like, when that one did a much better job at, like making The Exorcist great. And I was like, you just fumbled this thing, man. It was like this thing was crowbarred together. I mean, I think I talked about it last time with The Mummy, where it was like, like you can tell a movie is like duct taped together. That was like scotch taped. This felt like it was kind of scotch taped together.
Bruh.
Yeah. Okay. It was like, oh, wow. Well, all right, whatever. But yeah, so that's me. That's my 2023. Do you have any for 2024?
24?
Because I have
one. I don't have anything written down, but I can oh God, look at this Alice in Terrorland movie that I just came across. That's probably going to be really bad.
Oh, jeez. Have you seen Megamind 2 yet?
Not yet, but I'll put it in my list because of how the trailer went. And I don't feel like watching it because I want to keep my childhood.
Oh my God. Well, people are saying like it's really bad. That and they did an 8-episode TV show for it. People are saying that's terrible. And I'm just like, you know what? Whatever. Like, yeah.
Whatever.
What to do. But the one that I have was I think the only movie I've seen so far this year. Because there's a couple others that I wanted to go see but missed out. Night Swim.
Night Swim. Oh, that's right.
I was really fighting this one because there are some things that I did like, but unfortunately, it plays with a lot of the same shit we've seen in haunted house films for the past like 50, 60 years. It does the same thing. It's like, oh, really? And yeah, it was just like you had a good premise, and then you were trying to fill it with, what we've seen for like the past 50, 60 years when it comes to like haunted house movies. And you're just like, this will make it slide. It's like, nope. Well,
Nope.
yeah. But yeah, I was really fighting it because there were some things that I did like about it. But at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, this is a failure. Oh, well. All right, so that was the worst of. Time for the best of. I have a bunch of movies. I have a bunch of movies on here, but I think what I'm going to do is, like, skim through them and then quickly, like, recap and, like, do that. Because I do have a bunch on here. But...
Okay.
But if you want to kick off for best of 2020.
Best of 2020. I love it when you start off with me because I'm so fast at this.
Yeah, well, I like to run my mouth.
Yeah, well, okay, listen, that's fine.
Oh, well.
Okay, best of 2020. Again, was really hard because 2020 just felt like a fuck ton of, like, horror movies. I guess for a horror movie that I did watch was Come Play, and I quite did like that movie. Regardless of whatever you say.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. And me personally, I when you just said it, I was like, Come Play. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I haven't seen that. Mm-hmm. Me personally, it kind of looked like one of those like typical ones where I'm like, okay, like whatever. But I heard people talking about it and they were saying it's quite good. But just I missed out on it. Mm-hmm. Next.
Okay, and then the second one was a stupid one that's on Amazon Prime. It's just my personal opinion. It's Like a Boss that has Tiffany Haddish, Salma Hayek, and Ross Byrne on it.
Yeah, I heard that was dog shit.
It is dog shit, but I quite liked it because it's a stupid movie.
Yeah, I heard it's pretty much them trying to improv through the entire film. Like, they had no script.
It very much is. It's like just straight up, just all improv.
Oh, God. And to me, if improv, when done right, works. But if, improv, if you're just doing it just for the sake of doing it and you're basically just, like, making shit up on the spot, it's, and it doesn't make sense or anything like that, I just go, sit down. Just sit down. And from the looks of that movie, it looked like I was going to tell it to sit down. Which is why I didn't see it. But you said it. Like, you had fun with it, but you realized, like, yeah, this is pretty stupid.
It's like the most shittiest movie in the world, but what are you going to do about it? Like, nothing.
Yeah, clearly you haven't seen a whole lot of shitty films when you say that one is the shittiest in the world. Okay,
well, listen. I'm just saying, okay.
I know. You're saying it sarcastically while I'm trying to be a dick about it. Hey, I said it, not you.
Yeah.
All right.
You're right.
Okay. Do you have any more on there?
Nope, just those two.
All right.
Like I said.
So I will skim through them because, my worst stuff, I was basically doing like 10 minutes at a time. All right. Host, Run, Possessor, The Invisible Man, and Simulation Theory from Muse. Okay. Host is from the director of Dashcam. That is a movie where it takes COVID and actually works it to its advantage. It is about a group of friends on a Zoom call that do a seance, and they accidentally release something in their Zoom call. So it feels very Unfriended, but to me, I liked this one more than Unfriended. But that's just me.
Okay.
Run. This was released specifically to Hulu. This is basically like, be careful, who you're really with. This is about a mother and her paraplegic daughter, and her daughter starts to realize like her mother may not be who she says she is.
Oh, okay.
And so it pretty much becomes like a get the hell out kind of thing, but unfortunately she's paralyzed, so she has disadvantages. And it's freaky. It feels very like survival, like time, like race against the clock kind of thing. Possessor. That film is done by David Cronenberg's son. And that film, it takes, that movie is about a corporation who has people. It's a corporation where a woman works, and she is, they get contracts to kill people. So in order to get the blood off of their hands, they then kidnap people and do like almost like a brain kind of like transplant, but they're not actually taking like brains out. They're actually like needles in the brain, which because it's Cronenberg, they have to be really close up on it. So it's like, ew. Stop that. So then they then like possess other people to then fulfill these contracts. So it's very much kind of like Hitman, but if Hitman like possessed people. So it's like, it's that way. So it's like, that's actually kind of a clever way of looking at it. It's gory, and it's very like, ew. But I personally really liked it, and it's quite fucked up in many ways. The Invisible Man. Man, talk about them doing a Universal Monster reboot done right. This is the one.
Very good.
This is the one.
Great.
Because this one, it takes, like, the original was basically like, yeah, he's a doctor. Oh, he turns invisible, and like, hey, I'm going to show off. This one, it changes that, and is about a woman who just gets out of an abusive relationship, who is then hunted by somebody who is using invisibility technology to stalk her. And it's like, and it does a pretty good job at it. So if you're looking for like one of the Universal Monster reboots to actually watch, this is it. This is the one that I would recommend.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
And then finally, Muse's Simulation Theory. I love the band Muse, and this was basically their version of Michael Jackson's This Is It, where it was pretty much a documentary and a concert film. Except this is a story that they're telling that's connecting with the concert film. And yeah, they're quite electric. So yeah, I threw that one in there just because I'm a big fan of Muse, and yeah, I personally really like that one. So that's just me. All right, now I'm done with 2020. That took a lot shorter than I was expecting it to be. So let's keep it that way.
It's okay. So did I, but I'm not going to say that out loud.
No, that's why I said it. All right, 2021. What you got?
Okay. Dune, Part 1.
Dune Part 1. Yeah, I still haven't seen it, and I'm kind of.
It's actually pretty good.
Well, yeah. I mean,
not because Zendaya's in it or that one other guy, but it was actually pretty good.
And Willy Wonka's in it too.
Yeah, that's right. Willy Wonka's in it. I haven't watched Willy Wonka, so I don't really.
Yeah,
I have an opinion on the movie.
Yeah,
but I haven't watched it completely in its entirety. But I don't like it, so that's just me though. I know it's a musical, but I still don't like it.
I haven't seen it in its entirety, but fuck it.
Exactly.
But screw that movie.
But yeah, okay. I don't care.
Right.
Screw it. Anyways, from there I have the Kingsman movie.
Oh, the
King's Man. The King's Man movie, yeah.
Yeah.
And then just to throw it in there, have you seen Black Friday or no?
No, I want to, but mainly because it has, my favorite B movie actor, Bruce Campbell, in it.
Oh yeah.
That's why. Yeah, I want to see it because it looks very Evil Dead, and if it's not a mystery, I am a huge fan of that series, so I want to see that. It's just every time that I have it in my mind, it then kicks out of it, and then I don't. And then I don't realize it until like a couple months later. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, this one. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really good one. I think you should watch. Mm-hmm. For me, at least, it's a horror comedy. I mean, it's the funniest shit you'll ever see in the world. Horror, not so much. It's probably on par with like, what's that one movie where it's just like the most cliche horror movie, and they all know it. I don't know what it's called.
Oh God, a lot of them.
The majority of them, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. Throw out a little bit more details, I may be able to help out, but from that, I'll be like, I'm going to throw out like a whole bunch of movies. But, oh well. Okay. Was that what you had?
Your turn.
All right.
Yeah, that's all I got.
2021. VHS 94. Nobody.
Yep, I knew you would say that.
Yeah. Malignant. Last Night in Soho.
Okay.
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Good. Okay.
Candyman. And Suicide Squad.
Oh, Suicide Squad's on here. I didn't know that.
Yep. See? All right. I'll go in order. VHS 94. This movie, I enjoyed the first two VHS movies. 3 can go to hell because that movie sucks. Ooh. But after the third movie, they didn't know what they were going to do. So it was kind of a surprise to see that Shudder was the one that picked it up. And I was very pleasantly surprised on how good it was. Now, I don't love it because there's the wraparound I thought was kind of ridiculous. And at the end, it got stupid. But it brought the series back from the ashes. And I was like, wow, that's just fantastic. And then now they have 99 and then came out 85, which we may get to that one. And now they're working on another one. So it'll be 7 movies. So it's just, it's a series where I'm like, I wish there was more of these. And now Shudder basically heard what I said and said, oh, don't worry, dude, we got you. Nobody. If you love John Wick, and if you love Bob Odenkirk, who played Saul Goodman in like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, this is that. He is basically, he's kicking ass for an hour and a half, and it's from the same writer as John Wick. It's from some of the same producers, I believe. And it's from the same director as that movie Hardcore Henry, which was the movie that it was all kind of like first person. And this is just a blast. All right, this movie's just awesome. All right, Malignant. All right, hear me out on this one.
Very good movie.
All right, hear me out on this one.
Okay.
Do I realize that this is not that the script kind of sucks and that is very over the top? Yes. But it knows it. And I had a blast watching it. Mainly because I am a big fan of James Wan. And this was a movie where he basically made Warner Brothers a shit ton of money with like Conjuring Universe and then Aquaman. That they basically said, here's a bag full of money, make whatever movie you want. And then he made this.
Bro,
so,
okay.
Yeah, he said, like, we will leave you alone. Here's a bag full of money. Go do what movie you want to do. And if you're in Hollywood, that is the dream. That's just like, wow, that's awesome. Because that never happens. That ever rarely happens. So this was the movie he made, and man, did I love it. Okay, I loved it. Last Night in Soho. Edgar Wright goes horror. Sign me up. And yeah, I personally really, really enjoy this movie. I mean, I enjoy Edgar Wright as a whole, but you know, this one was just kind of like okay, like this is really interesting. And I think they said that his next movie will be like kind of like another semi-horror movie.
Okay.
And then we got to get to the big one, at least for me, Ghostbusters Afterlife. It brought the series back. Because if you really think about it, the last movie that we got was, the remake, which... But
Fair enough.
But the previous movie before that was Ghostbusters 2, which was like 25 years. So in actuality, we didn't really get another movie for 35 years plus, if you really think about it. And somehow they came back with this, which I know a lot of people were complaining, saying like, it feels very much like the first movie. And I'm like, well, if you look at it as a whole, 2 felt like another copy of the first movie, and I like 2. This one was kind of like, it referenced too much from the first movie. I'm like, well, I kind of had to. Because, you had to get back into this world and the rules they set, and then, go from there. And with Afterlife, I'm very excited to see Frozen Empire.
Which is coming out when? Again?
The end of March. So in like a couple weeks from now.
In a couple weeks?
Yeah.
That's great. Are you allowed to reserve tickets tonight? Not really.
Yeah, I believe you can.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have yours reserved yet or no?
No, not yet, because I got to figure out who's going. If it's just me, then I'm doing it now. But we'll see.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Candyman. I know a lot of people did not like this movie, and I'm like, why? Because it very much did like what Ghostbusters and VHS did. It brought the series back. Because the last movie they did was in the 90s, and that was... Or no, I'm sorry, it was in like the 2000s, but it was straight to video. It was straight to DVD. Back when a lot of horror movie sequels were just going straight to DVD. And this one being produced and and the screenplay is co-done by Jordan Peele. Sign me up. And
Jordan Peele has been doing some bomb-ass movies recently. I'm not even going to lie to you.
Well, have you seen the trailer for Monkey Man?
No.
Oh my god.
What?
He's producing that. It feels like a Indian version of John Wick. And
Monkey
Man. Yeah, look it up as I'm doing this.
Ooh.
But yeah, it looks very much like an Indian John Wick, but Jordan Peele is producing it.
That's crazy. I can see that.
But yeah, Candyman,
So
I enjoyed. And then the last one I have here is Suicide Squad, which it did exactly what we wanted the previous Suicide Squad movie to be, which was fun, action-packed, and rated R. James Gunn delivered that. And so I was pretty happy with it. So that is my 2021. So 2022.
You know what? That's not
What do you have? Oh yeah, and
2022.
And real quick, I don't have any for my best of for 2024.
I don't either. Actually, I have none either. So
okay.
I guess we just 2022 is what we said.
Yep.
What we're on.
What you got?
Okay. Hocus Pocus 2.
Yeah, I immediately got to question this shit.
You can question it whatever you want. Hocus Pocus 2 was a fun movie for me to watch. I'm not saying it's the best movie. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying it was a nice one, okay?
Yeah.
To make you a little happier, I did put The Blackening on here.
You mean the Black Phone?
No, The Blackening.
Oh, The Blackening. Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Slightly. It's we're getting there.
Okay.
From there, Death on the Nile. was
Okay.
another one that I quite liked. Bullet Train.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask, like, have you seen that one? And if you haven't,
I have.
I was gonna fix that, but all right, you already have.
No,
Okay.
I have.
Okay.
I think that's it. Oh, I did quite like the Robert Pattinson Batman.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Um,
yeah. But,
I have it on my list, and you're gonna kick yourself.
oh God, is it Puss in Boots?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. The Last Wish.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Why do I keep not remembering good movies?
Okay, so what I have: The Menu, Barbarian, X,
Fair enough. Okay.
Pearl, The Black Phone,
Pearl. Yep. Good.
Nope,
Yep.
Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
You like that one?
Yes, and
Okay.
I'll
Whatever.
explain why. Puss in Boots, Prey, Scream 5, and the movie that I have not shut up for since the past 2 years, or since it came out, and will probably never shut up about, Everything Everywhere All at Once. All right, so The Menu. A movie I went into completely blind, and somehow I was blown away. This
Crazy.
it was very much it is a dark comedy film. Like, there were parts of the movie where I was just like, wow, that's pretty dark, but then there's parts where I'm laughing at it, and it was just so clever the way it was. And it was actually helped produced by Will Ferrell. It was just so clever the way they did it. Barbarian, the same thing. Went into a movie completely blind. I thought I was going to get something. I was going to get something in there, and the movie just turns a 180 and gives me something completely different that I was not expecting. And wow, I would say, like, movies that I can't see, like, on streaming or like anything like that. Like, I don't think there's a physical release for them. It's both The Menu and Barbarian. X and Pearl I have in the same thing because they're both related. X was basically, let's make almost like Texas Chainsaw Massacre if it was made in a porno. And that's pretty much what you got with X. Pearl was pitched to me as, think of it as The Wizard of Oz meets American Psycho. And I was like, all right, you signed me up. It was kind of crazy. You signed me up. I mean, I was going to see it anyway, but it was just like, oh, now I have to see it because, Wizard of Oz, was classic. And then I know you haven't seen American Psycho, but don't worry, I'll try to fix that. Yeah, I was just like, yeah, all right, you signed me up. I'm good. The Black Phone. That movie took a short story and basically expanded it and was just like, wow, this just was very good. And there's stuff in it where I was like, I was not expecting this to happen. Like, mainly because the time period it's set in, a lot of that stuff happened. And I was like, oh my God, that's just shocking. Like, I won't go into detail, but there was a lot of, like, kids back in the day where they got spanked, but they got spanked with a belt. They do that here.
Oh wow,
and it's shocking. Like, it's like, oh my God. And then I was just like, so that's what it was like? And they're like, pretty much. And I was like, oh my God, how were people like humans back then? But yeah, I really liked Black Phone. Jordan Peele's Nope. It's if it's Jordan Peele, it's kind of cheating. So yeah, I'm pretty sure like everybody's talked about that. All right, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Here is why. In the span of 2022, we got 3 Pinocchio movies. We got this one. We got Disney's live action one, which, looked like it sucked. And then we got fucking Pauly Shore doing the voice of Pinocchio. And it's just like, this looks hilariously awful. this was the one that was like, all right, we're going to take the story and actually make it pretty much like it was, where Pinocchio was a fucking brat. He sucked. You know, a lot of the stuff in there was from the book. And yeah, they made him the little asshole that he actually was in the book, which, you know, I actually read, which is shocking because I don't read a whole lot of books. And the fact that it was all stop motion and it looked gorgeous was just that was the nail.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you on that one.
I personally really like that movie. Are there some flaws in it? Yes. But overall, that was the best Pinocchio movie I saw, you know, of 2022. Because yeah, the Disney one just, you know, did not look like it would hold my interest. And then the fucking and then that damn Pauly Shore one just looks hilarious. All right. Puss in Boots. We have been waiting a long time to get a sequel to Puss in Boots, and we finally did, and somehow they topped it. And
they really did. I don't know how they managed to do that, but
they did it.
It was down to like the message of the movie, to the animation of the movie, to bringing back basically every voice actor from the original. Because I kind of got worried.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't replace Antonio Banderas, but everyone else can.
Yeah, they brought back both Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek. They brought them both back. And they work great together, mainly because they've been working with each other since the 90s. And they've been working quite well with each other. But
chemistry.
One thing I liked about that movie, and I thought was quite ballsy, was they weren't afraid to get dark, nor were they afraid to throw in a little bit of swearing. But also, there were parts where they would throw in the curse like bleep sound effect, and I was like, that caught me completely off guard, and that is funny because it's like I was not expecting you to do something like that. And then yeah, the parts where it got dark, like Puss basically, you know, getting almost like heart murmurs because he's scared. And I was like, yeah, it's very relatable. And I was like, wow, they're actually doing like some deep shit. So I was very surprised on how good that was, and I was very happy that it was as good as it was. Prey. Again, another Hulu direct movie that was like, wow, this is great. And it was a Predator movie, and we hadn't gotten a good Predator movie, you know, a really, really good one since the original. You know, I'll throw out Predators because there was some good to that. I did like that one, but if I had to say like one that was just like the one that was flawless to me was the original. It's always going to be the original. And then I heard a bunch of people saying that they thought that this one was the best one since the original. And I'm like, all right, let's see it. And I totally agree. Scream 5. It brought the series back. Now,
it really did.
I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people that did not like 5, nor 6. To be honest, they don't like the new ones.
Really?
And I'm just like, yeah, but they brought it back, and I think they did a good job at it. You know, that's just me personally. And then finally, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I've talked about numerous times, but it's just that film is just so good, and was so happy to see that thing crush the Oscars, because a movie like that never wins at the Oscars, like never does. And I was happy that movie basically slapped the Academy in the face and said, we're winning this shit, and they totally did. And another thing that I love about that movie is that is a fantastic movie you can actually sit down and watch with your mother. Because
good way to put it, yeah.
Yeah, because it basically, it not only tackles like the, you know, the hardship of one being an adult, but the hardship of being a mother, and it's a hard ass job, and I'm like, yeah, mothers are fucking superheroes. So,
They really are. No matter how much you might hate your mom, sometimes it's kind of like they're just doing their job.
They've sacrificed quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now, 2023. What do we got?
2023. Last year.
Yeah.
The year of movie after movie after movie. And of course, we have to start off with the Barbenheimer duo. Regardless if I came during the titty scene or not during Oppenheimer is not in question. I came during the most important part, which was the blowing up part.
Well, you didn't see it in true IMAX, so that was kind of a big deal. See,
yeah, that's true.
I don't have Barbie nor Oppenheimer on it because I kind of had the feeling you were going to throw it in.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, it was like... Yeah, she'll put it in there at some point.
Yeah. There's I think 2 other ones in here, or in my list, that I probably know you're going to throw in there. But,
okay.
All right, what's next?
Next I have I don't know how I feel about putting this one in here. It's the Mission Impossible movie that came out.
Oh,
Dead Reckoning one.
Yeah. I liked it, but I didn't love it. It wasn't, especially like, I think the last movie they did, which was Fallout, was such a great one. It was like an all-time high. I was like, wow, that was just, that was great. I don't know how they're going to do that, or like if they're going to top that. And with Dead Reckoning, it was just like, okay, they didn't top it, but, I don't, there's a lot in there that I liked, but to me, one of the big issues with it was fighting artificial intelligence. I'm like, oh, we're doing this shit again?
Yeah, I feel like if I wanted to see fighting artificial oh my God, I hit my lip right now.
Yeah. Or AI.
Okay, just AI. Damn. Why are you gonna pull out the big words? That's not fair.
You know what?
Okay.
It's who gives a shit, okay? I don't care.
Exactly. Anyways, fighting AI, if I wanted to see that, I would just watch Terminator, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, not saying that it wasn't fun. I was just like, it was kind of in between, but I didn't hate the movie. That's why I'm putting it in here.
Yeah.
Next is the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which I'm 100% sure you haven't.
That's one of the 2 I just said. Like, yeah, I knew you were going to put that in there.
And then for me was John Wick Chapter 4, which was the...
Yeah. There's the second.
What?
No, there was the second one. It was, to me, I was going like, yeah, it's going to be Spider-Man and John Wick 4. You're probably going to throw those 2 in there.
Then I don't know if I have Megan on here. I just watched it and, it was pretty good.
Which one?
I liked it. Megan.
Oh, yeah. I don't have that, but I did like it. That was a surprise to me because I was expecting it to just be middle of the road or just complete and utter dog shit. But there was a certain charm to that movie that I did like. But yeah, for the best ones, to me, I don't have that, but I did like that one. But yeah, I wouldn't put it as like, to me, as like one of the best ones, but I did enjoy that one.
Yeah, I agree. I watched it and I was like, okay, this is good. This is good. I quite liked it. From there was Creed 3.
Okay.
Godzilla -1. Then, I'm not 100% sure because I haven't watched it yet, but you said it's good. It's the Dungeons and Dragons movie that you keep edging me to watch, but I don't know.
Hold on. I'll get to that.
You'll get to it.
Yeah,
but
don't
for
worry.
now, that's it.
Okay. All right. 2023 for me. The Holdovers. John Wick 4. Talk to Me.
Okay.
No One Will Save You. Across the Spider-Verse. Evil Dead Rise. Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Scream 6 and VHS 85. All right. The Holdovers. I just watched this at the same time I saw Night Swim. And it was one of those movies where it's like, all right, this looks interesting, but I can save it for next year. And I do understand and do see why it's getting a lot of Oscar buzz, and it's being nominated for quite a bit of Oscars. And
Ooh.
yeah, I do see and understand why, because there's a lot that is really good about this movie. And yeah, it's that classic, like, oh, we hate each other in the beginning, but then we find a connection, and then at the end we're friends. It follows that same thing, but this one it does things differently. That I thought was great. And it's also it's pretty funny. Like, there's a part in the movie where it's supposed to be kind of like, oh my god. It's not like, oh my god, that's like scary or like anything like that. It's supposed to be like a, oh my god, you gotta help this. And my friends and I, we were laughing because we were just like, oh my god, that's just so stupid. Like, I mean, it's in the trailer, but it's like what happened like slightly after that. But it was still funny. Next, John Wick 4. Man, everything that the first three films has built up, it was all here. And then especially the fact that even Keanu said they may have gone overboard with all the stunts and all the fights. Man, I don't care. And that almost 3 hours long, or yeah, like 3 hours long, it's like I wanted more. And
Right.
it's like each scene where it's a fight was like it was like this could be the end fight to any like standard action movie. And it was just gorgeous. Talk to me. One of the few surprises this year, or 2023. This movie was made by YouTubers.
That's right.
Yeah, that the one that I love. It's the same group that did the what was it, that banned McDonald's commercial skit.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's from them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's them, and they did this. And I found that out after the fact. After I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is awesome!" And yeah, this takes the concept of like demonic or entity possession, and basically treats it like it's a drug, like they're addicted to it. And it's like, ooh, that's kind of interesting, and that's something that hasn't been done before. So like I said, like it adds, like I've said before with like the Disney animated movies, they're taking premises that have been done before, but they're finding a way to put a spin on it where it hasn't been done before. This takes the possession idea that we've seen multiple times before and says, hey, what if they were treating it like it was an addiction and like it was a drug and like they get a high from it after it's done and they want to keep going. And it's like, yeah, let's expand that. And yeah, and the fact they're doing a sequel and a prequel to this, they got something. No One Will Save You. Hulu strikes again. It's like every year this past decade, they came out with a movie that I'm like, wow, you guys nailed it. They
really did.
No One Will Save You. It is a pretty much dialogue-free suspenseful sci-fi film. And I was watching it with my father remotely. And yeah, this movie had me on the edge of my seat. My heart was beating through it because I did not know where the hell the movie was going to go, because it was just so unpredictable, and also expectations were so low because the trailer didn't even really give anything away, which is great. It was like, what's going to happen? And then by the end, you're just like, oh my god, like, well, that was just a roller coaster. So yeah, if you want a suspenseful like sci-fi film, this one I highly recommend. Now, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Okay.
Oh my God.
we talked about this last show. So I won't go too much into that because we did it last show. But yeah, it's just not just animation at its finest, but superhero films just at the top of their game. So yeah, and then I cannot wait for Beyond to come out. That shit needs to come out now. They need to like take a whole bunch of adrenaline and get that thing done because I want to see it.
When is it supposed to release? Next year, or
it was supposed
six?
It was supposed to be this year.
Shoot!
They were supposed to be doing back to back, but like immediately after production ended on Across, they were supposed to be working on Beyond, but something happened, and then there was a huge delay, and they said, yeah, it's not going to be done back to back anymore. And so I think they said next year, which is still a far away, but who knows?
Oh yeah,
who knows? Evil Dead Rise, man, talk about, like, I keep saying it, it's like a movie that brought the series back, because the last movie we got was the Evil Dead remake, and that was a decade ago. And for those people that haven't seen the Ash vs. Evil Dead show that continues the story of the trilogy, which highly recommend that show. That show is damn good. Evil Dead was kind of lost. They didn't know what was going to happen with it. To then this movie came out and was like, oh my God, this is just awesome. And yeah, like I saw this in a theater, and there's a ton of moments that happen that are referenced to the trilogy, but they actually make it part of the story, or like part of like what happens to like certain characters. And I was laughing my ass off while everyone else around me was just like, what is happening with him? Because they hadn't seen the trilogy, and I'm just like, what's wrong with you? Like, yeah, they're looking at me saying like, why are you laughing at that line? And I said, why aren't you laughing at that line?
Oh my gosh.
And then they said they want to try to do an Evil Dead film every 3-4 years. And I'm like, I'm not saying no to that. So, like, sign me up.
Exactly.
And Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not particularly a fan of Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, I tried it a couple times, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. But this came out, or when this was announced, and I was like, okay, you got the cast, and then the directors from Game Night, which was a movie was so surprisingly funny that I'm like, all right, like, I'll see what happens. And then I saw it, and I was like, wow, okay, that was actually genuinely, like, really good. I saw this 3 times in the theaters. 3 times. And this was a movie where I saw it with family, and then the next I saw it with friends, and the third was with family. And my friends and family were saying, like, yeah, we're gonna go, like, we may go see this. I'm like, oh, go see it. Like, I'll tag along. And they said, like, but you already saw it. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I'll see it again. And I did it 3 times because it was so surprisingly good. So, yeah. So, Scream 6. It took all the things that I didn't like about 5 and fixed it. And while there's some things in 6 that I was like, yeah, I kind of guessed that. Like, mainly in 5 and 6, the reveals, not going to say what. I was going, yeah, I kind of guessed that. So it wasn't like the first movie where it was like, oh, whoa, that's shocking. This, with 5 and 6, it was very much like, yeah, I kind of guessed that the whole damn time. But it took the things I didn't like about 5 and it fixed it. And I was like, all right, awesome. Oh. So I do think 6 is better than 5, but the thing that is missing in 6 is Neve Campbell. Because she was supposed to be in it, but there was a certain thing with like money and contract, and then she walked off. So she's definitely missing in it. But who knows if 7 ever gets off the ground, because unfortunately with 7, it's kind of in a bad rope right now. Like, they lost the director. Both, oh shoot, forget her name. The main actress that's kind of the connection of all, I think it was Maria, I forget her name, but she's in a new movie coming out in April that I hands down want to go see, called Abigail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, which is actually done by the same people who did Scream 5 and 6, but also Jenna Ortega walked off. And unfortunately, they were the 2 main characters in it. It was like, yeah, you lost your director and you lost your main 2 stars. So, like, this is kind of in the dirt right now. So, I don't know what's going to happen with 7. But they're still trying to get it done. And then finally, VHS 85. I skipped 92 because 92 had it. It kind of felt like the first one to me, where I was like, okay, some of this is good and some of this is not good. But 85 fixed that. And I actually think 85 is better than 94. Still, the VHS movie, that's my favorite. It's hands down, it's the second one. I would say 85 comes second. It's my second favorite. And yeah, like, they got some people back from the previous movies, while also some newcomers in there. And the segments they did, I was like, wow, this was actually pretty good. And was pretty happy and surprised about it. And then I think like a week after this came out, they announced, oh, we're doing a 7th. I'm like, all right.
Wow.
All right, cool. Cool. I'm down with that. Yeah. But that's what I got. And there we go. Our best and worst of the decade.
Amazing, isn't it? How fast we went through that.
Yeah, fast.
Yeah, sure, fast.
Yeah, fast. So what we'll do is we'll quickly talk about the movie we have here. So in preparation of Kung Fu Panda 4, which comes out, I think, in a couple of days, as of this time, we will be talking about Kung Fu Panda. Now, I have not seen any of the sequels, and it has been a long time since I've seen the first one. So I'm probably not going to be the best on this one.
Fair enough.
But I don't remember seeing the first one in theater. I think I saw it when 2 came out or something like that. I was like, oh yeah, that's right, that movie. But what I do remember from the first movie is I did like, the concept and did like what they were doing with it and where they were going with it. Like I said, it's been a while, so it's going to be very much like a blur for me. But yeah, it was back when DreamWorks was kind of experimenting and they were kind of trying to get out of the Shrek phase, because they were pretty much just known for doing Shreks until they came out with like Kung Fu Panda and then How to Train Your Dragon. And they're just like, okay, we got more series we got more franchises on our hands. So,
which all of them hit, by the way. The majority of their shows end up hitting regardless, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I would say I can't really say much about the Kung Fu Panda series because I've only seen the first one, but the How to Train Your Dragon ones, it's like, wow. Like, after the first one was just like, oh, that was good, but it could be great. And then 2 pulled it off. Mm-hmm. It was like, dude, like, this is more epic. And then the third one, which, was good.
It was good. It was about
good.
Toothless finding his wife.
It was good. It was good, but it definitely, like, especially after the high of like 2, was just like, yeah, it feels kind of like a downgrade, but it's fine. It was still good.
It was the ending of the series, Trevor.
Well, and not necessarily, because they're doing a live action one.
Fair enough. But still, that does not mean it's a continuation to where they ended off.
It's bullshitting. But, yeah, so with Kung Fu Panda, my first general watching of it, I remember liking it, but not loving it. I think I had a friend of mine who, after watching the first one, they said, okay, I can kind of see that. And then they saw the other movies and said, like, oh, it gets better. And I'm like, that seems to be the thing with DreamWorks, is like, you know, like Shrek. Like, the first one was good, but then the second one was better. How to Train Your Dragon, the first one was good, the second one got better. Trolls, all of them are middle of the road to me. I personally don't care about Trolls. But you know, but you know, they did get better because they found their footing. Now they can, after the footing, and especially, you know, with the first movie, you know, you're setting up all these like different characters and like how the world works and stuff like that. And then once you do that, then you can just go off. So and it's kind of like with How to Train Your Dragon, I feel like 2 was kind of what they wanted in some ways the first movie to be, but then they had to like set up everything and how this works. And then the second one, they just went, you know what, let's just go nuts. And they did. And it was great. So with Kung Fu Panda, according to a friend of mine, they did say it got, you know, better or like right on par with the same. But like I said, mine is such a blur to me. But what I can recollect from the first movie is I do remember liking it, but not loving it, because there were some things in there where I was just like, okay, you could have just kind of skipped this. But there were some like funny sight gags, funny moments that, you know, I kind of was like, in the beginning I was kind of like, whoa, what the hell is that? But then they immediately pull it back. I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. Like, you know, like there's 2 moments in particular. There's one where I think it was Mantis was giving like Poe the needles in his back.
Yes.
And then,
yes, and he gets stuck all,
Yeah, and then, I think it was Tyrus was telling a story. It was like kind of like a emotional and personal story. And then, Poe's just like all like, man, I'm so sorry about that. And all of a sudden, like, changes. And I was like, what the hell is that? And then when he, like, face plants, you just see, like, thousands of needles in his back.
They're doing acupuncture, so, I mean, there's supposed to be 1,000 needles for,
and then
you know,
it was just
good
like, so at first I was going like, what the hell? And then once that happened, I was like, okay, that's actually kind of funny. But to me, the biggest laugh for me wasn't even like, you know, started off as being funny. It was just a scene like where like Poe was just kind of sitting on the hill, like just by himself. And then Master Shifu just kind of like walks up behind him, and because it was like he was feeling down, starts talking, and then Poe turns around, he's just got like his face like full of like dumplings or something. And it was just like, yeah, I've been there. Like, yeah, like you think you're all by yourself, and then you're shoving food in your mouth, and then somebody's talking to you, and just turn around, just like a whole bunch of shit in your mouth. So you're like, oh, sorry. So yeah, it was those moments that I was laughing at. But you know from what I can recall of the first movie, like I said, I did like it, but I just didn't love it. It didn't hit that mark yet. But there was a lot that I did like. So I'm sure if I rewatched it, I would give it a higher grade, but for right now, probably like a high average. Like I said, if I rewatch it, then I would probably give it like a grade or something. But because I haven't seen it in a while, from what I can recollect, is I did like it, and it would be like a high average for right now. So until I rewatch it, that's what I have.
I'm gonna give it a great. I'm a great girl, because honestly, I really liked everything, down to the fight scene between him and the main villain, which you should know this. It's just the skadoosh. It's like the little pinky. I'm gonna put down my pinky and you're gone.
Oh, that was another thing I wanted to bring up, was the voice acting. There was a lot of people in there, like, you had, of course, like Jack Black, you had Dustin Hoffman as Master Shifu. The villain was Ian McShane. But yeah, to me, it was the what was it, the Furious Five? Is what they were called.
Yes.
It was them that surprised me. Like, yeah, it was Angelina Jolie, Seth Rogen, David Cross, Lucy Liu. Then I was like, oh wow, that's you got quite a cast here.
We do. You have Angelina Jolie, you have James Hong, Seth Rogen.
James Hong. Yeah. James Hong, I love that guy. Still my favorite. Have you seen Big Trouble in Little China?
No, I haven't.
Oh, my heart just got shattered. No,
I'm sorry.
No. I'll show that to you eventually. But he is the villain in that movie, and you can tell he's just having a blast. I mean, it's a really good movie, but him doing his portrayal is he does. Okay, I don't want to give too much in there, but there's times where he is being all serious and stuff like that. But then there's some moments where he's being just like completely goofy and like over the top and silly, and so you can just tell he's having a ball. And every time I watch it, it's just like it's funny to me. It's hilarious. Yeah, Big Trouble is one of my favorite movies of all time. And yeah, he's the villain in that. So yeah, James Hong, I love that guy. Did you see recently he got his hand and feet in front of the Chinese theater?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Fucking finally. I mean, Jesus, the guy's like not in his 90s and now he's getting it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing too. He's in his 90s and he's still working. And I think he even said like, "Oh no, I'm not stopping."
But does he need to? Does he need to work, or
it's up to him?
Or he's just doing it for fun at this rate?
I don't know, but he's James Hong, and you know what? I'm not going to disagree with the guy because that guy's a legend.
Fair enough. You're right.
So, but yeah, so I know. I wanted to for the past couple years to rewatch Kung Fu Panda, but it's just every time when I think about it. It's like what we talked about with Black Friday. It's like every time I think about it, it just immediately leaves my mind. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Okay. I did say that, and I was going to rewatch that. Whoops.
Oopsie daisy.
But yeah, have you been seeing stuff about the fourth one?
I have, along with Shrek, the new Shrek movie that's supposedly coming out.
Whatever.
But I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I don't know. What I saw from Kung Fu Panda 4, like all the trailers and stuff, I'm like, okay, like it's the villain is a chameleon that's voiced by Viola Davis. And she, I think it was like she absorbs their abilities, I think is what I read.
Yes. So she ends up absorbing all the dead people's abilities.
I don't think they're dead.
So she has like access to, well, I mean, they're technically not dead. They're just in a spirit realm, is what I've heard. Or saw. They're in a spirit realm. Yeah. So they're not dead, but they're not alive either.
Yeah. I personally don't know exactly what they're totally doing, mainly because I've been avoiding it because I haven't seen the other movies. But we'll see. This one is supposed. They said that this is supposed to be the last one.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I even heard that they were trying to say like 3 was supposed to be the last, but then it was like, no. If as soon as it makes money, you guys will find a way to make another one.
Probably, yeah.
So, all right, so we'll see what Kung Fu Panda 4 brings to the table. But yeah, so a decent job, I would say, like decent job, and a high decent job, and then respect. So
yeah, I agree with you on that one. I maybe I'll go for great and respect instead of decent job, just because I've seen the entire series and I quite liked it. I'm not super excited, surprisingly, for the 4th movie. I don't know why. I'm not super excited for it.
Do you feel like 3 should have been the last one?
I do. Like, I feel like I agree with that there should be no more Kung Fu Panda movies. And I quite understand where this 4th one is coming from. It's literally Po giving up the Dragon Warrior position. Like, it's supposed to happen eventually, right? And he becomes the new, like, master or whatever.
Yeah.
And I get it, but I don't understand the rest of the movie, other than, like, Viola Davis's character. Like, I understand that, but they don't really explain what happens to Po and who gets chosen afterwards, or if he gets to choose. And I guess that's supposed to be it. You're not supposed to know everything through the trailer. But I feel like this should give us context more than just, Po's moving on.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and there's a new villain. I think that's why I'm not so excited, but we don't know how the movie might turn out. It might be really good. It might be really shit. I just hope it's not Megamind shit.
Yeah.
Because that would be really upsetting.
Well, the thing about the thing that I can already tell is it looks like Kung Fu Panda was actually rendered. When with Megamind 2, it does not look like they rendered it. I mean,
no, it really does.
I mean, I've seen people compare it to. Have you seen that movie Food Fight?
Oh my god, I have.
People have been comparing it to that, and I'm like, what?
No.
Yeah, and that just, and unfortunately, I know it sounds bad, but them saying that makes me want to watch it. I'm like,
I don't know if I would pay money to go watch it, but I agree with you.
Well, luckily it's on Peacock, so I mean. Yeah, you're paying a subscription, but you're basically getting it with a whole bunch of other stuff. But,
true.
Yeah, so yeah, oh well. I mean, yeah, somebody was comparing it to like the Megamind video game they did for like the Nintendo DS when the movie came out. It looked better. And then they said, yeah, then there was like Food Fight. That looks better. It was like, whoa, okay. Like, now you're kind of crossing the line here. I'm like, okay, it can't be as bad as that. And
no way, right?
Yeah. So, I don't know. But, we'll see how Kung Fu Panda goes.